We love hip hop.
We're gonna get back to the conversation about this tune, okay?
Yeah.
All right. But before we do that, I want to give a big salute to my sponsors here, Astro Pink. If you know, you know. Check them out on their website, myastropink.com, or on their Instagram, the real Instagram, astro_pink. All right. Now, even before we get to the intro.
Yeah.
Okay. This tune that we started it off with here, SYKE, is banging down the place. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sonically, as accomplished as you are now, does it still stand up to the way that you do your stuff today?
Yeah. I think I didn't do the final mix on that. That was my man Dan Weston, who
Salute.
usually does my albums and stuff like that. But I think for me, it's always about how loud it can be and how clear it can be. I want you to hear every instrument, but I still want it to bang.
Yeah.
I think that's every producer, every creative wants their stuff to be heard like that. So I think it still stands up today, but I definitely make it louder.
Yeah?
Just make it louder. Yeah.
Listen, fam, one thing also, even before I get to the intro with that tune, the fucking 808 that you had on that, I feel like it was early when 808 started becoming a more prevalent thing in people's beats.
The 808 has always been prevalent. It's just how it's been utilized, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like the South took the 808, especially like when you heard those early like crunk tunes back in the day, the fucking Lil Jon.
Lil Jon, yeah.
When you heard, like, I remember like going to those all ages parties when I was a youth, those fucking platinum parties at Club 108 and shit like that. I'm gonna take it back. For some of y'all, young niggas, you don't know about this, obviously. The niggas that are in their mid-30s and can go back, you know what I'm talking about. And you hear like Lil Jon, that song, Bia, why you working like, yo, that 808 would boom, boom, boom. And for me, I was a nigga that was by the speaker, so that's why I'm mildly deaf right now as a 35-year-old. But I'm by the speakers, get my bubble up on a ting, probably your mom at this age. And it's just the 808s were banging so hard. Just banging so hard. So, those kind of like influences from the South, like Lil Jon, who was a Manny Fresh, like those are the guys that were using the 808s in a way where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Even Jermaine Dupri too. Like everybody that was doing it in the South, like those South producers really took those 808s. And for those who don't know, 808 is actually a kit from Roland.
Okay.
Roland, that they make their the keyboard synthesizers and all that kind of stuff. That's a name of the actual kit. So there's 808 kicks, there's 808 snares, 808 hi-hats. They're all part of the 808 library.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think because the bass is the most famous part of it, everybody calls 808s bass now. Right? Yeah. Because there's a 909 kit. There's like different kits that come. Yeah.
That's educational right there. I thought it was just a style of bass.
No, it's just really a setting on like the Roland.
Yeah. So anybody can achieve the quote unquote 808 sound with maybe a different type of kit if they just use the right settings. Right?
The 808 is just like really a sign. They call the sound like a sign. Right? A sine wave or a sine. So it's just like, you get higher on it and it turns into a melody. Get lower on it, it turns into like a bass. It's not even like a sound anymore. It's just vibration. You dig? So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
science.
We're going to be educating the babies here on a lot of things because I feel like this gentleman that we have here, and for the people in the viewing audience, salute to y'all, hit the subscribe, hit the like. You already know what it is. And the people in the listening audience, you're hearing that deep voice. You're like, that voice, the heads out here, they're like, I recognize that voice right there. You know what I'm saying? So with no further ado, we have the legend, Rich Kid. Actually, legendary producer, and not producer of just music, producer of visual arts. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, thank y'all.
Yeah, I know shit, bro. And, you know what I'm saying? Legendary lyricist as well. You know what I mean? Rich Kid in the motherfucking building.
For me, it's just all art. I just create just to have fun with it. So I'm blessed to, sometimes I wake up, I'm just like, it's crazy. Like I've been able to just do what I want in life.
Yeah.
And not have so much pressure put upon me, like to actually have to carry too many things on my shoulder, right?
Yeah.
And there's times I could have, but I think if I do, where is the fun in that? Where I have to fucking feel like I gotta like lift all these things. It's just I just want to be able to create, and I've just been able to do that. I love it.
Yeah, and you know one thing I also forgot to add to the list of things that the hats that you wear, teacher as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Teacher, counselor to the youth, like you're a voice to the youth to bridge the gap as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to commend you on that.
Honestly, if you would have told my teachers back when I was in high school that I would be a teacher, they would be scared. They would like, what? Him?
Yeah.
What? The man the kid that's disrupting my class all the time? But yeah, like, you know, I teach from experience. You know, the things that I've learned through the industry, what I've learned just, you know, being able to make some dope tracks for artists I respect, you know, perform on different stages around the world. And then also like throughout all that, still be involved in the community.
Yeah.
Just in my neighborhood and in the city of Toronto, being able to be a part of so many influential programs that help garner a lot of attention, but also garner a lot of support to youth that are just so talented.
Yeah.
Have so much talent, but not their voices aren't heard enough.
Yeah.
And for me to be a part of Remix Project, Lost Lyrics, all these different programs that help out youth, Urban Arts, when I was doing Beats My Movement, it's just incredible, bro.
No, man, it's a blessing, fam. And I want to also congratulate you on getting your gold plaque for I Wish I Knew Natalie Portman.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
So can you talk, let's start with some of that right there, because that's a tune right there, Chaos, Big Socks, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, Big Socks.
Tell us about making that tune, and did you think that it would become you get a gold plaque off of that one day?
That's the thing. Nah, I wouldn't say that. I felt it was gonna be a dope tune, but I wasn't looking at the accolades. I was kind of looking for just a way to get on when I was doing it. I was living in Jane and Finch with my cousin Bucks. I was staying in his sister's room because his sister moved out, my cousin, who I just went to her wedding earlier last year, you know, proud of her.
Congrats.
But I was living in her room. I just sold enough drugs to get Yorkville speakers. And I made that tune after watching TV, Fox, and then I seen the OC. And then I heard the theme song. I'm like, yo, this theme song is dope.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm, you know, like I told Friday just a minute ago, I took some shrooms. So
no, fam.
I might be flubbing on my words, but I'm just trying to visualize and bring it back.
No, I want you to give me the full breakdown of the story. So take your time, bro.
Yeah. So back to the. So yeah, I was just watching the OC. I was just like, yo, this theme song is dope. So I actually sampled it right from the TV. I connected the RCA chords and shit like that to my M-Box. Did I even have an M-Box? I think it was it was an M-Box or one of my interfaces I had at the time.
Yeah.
Recorded that in. And then I just took a piece of it, chopped it up, added my bass, added my drums to it. And it was just another beat I made. It wasn't like, oh, I see Socrates on this or Chaos on this. Just another beat I made that I thought that was dope. And then I sent it to Socks. Socks was like, yo, I want to do something with this.
Yeah.
I don't even actually know if Socks even hit me. It might have been Chase, his old manager. And at that time, Socks was on tour with Nelly Furtado. It was like a world tour. And Socks was like, playing violin on her set and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then also doing some songs from his set. At that time, you know, Socks had the songs like You and Tomorrow with him and Andrina and shit like that. He was kind of like doing his, I guess, his second arrival of his career.
And that was also a big look because he was doing the vocals for Timberland in the Nelly Furtado tunes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when he told me like, yo, we got one, I was just like, yo, this is dope. And at that time, I think when he was mixing the version that just had him and Nelly Furtado on it, we went to 40's crib. I got introduced to 40. So I always looked at 40 as, oh, this is Sox's engineer.
Yeah.
I had no idea about Drake. Well, I didn't know about Drake, but I didn't know they were connected in a way, right?
Yeah.
So I just looked at 40 as a separate entity and whatever. And then Drake as his own entity. And then meeting 40, he had told me about this kid named Drake. I was just like, yeah, I heard about Drake. He's like, yeah, we're starting to work together. I'm like, yeah, that's dope. But he was just like, yo, Rich, this beat is crazy. This one, 40 used to live in Parkdale, right? So, I don't know, one of them, I think it was like Tyndall Ave, you know?
Yeah, I remember.
I can say it now because you don't live there no more.
Yeah.
And yeah, he was just like, yo, Rich, you got to keep on making some shit like this. I'm like, oh, respect. Once he mixed it, the beat just sat there, or the song just sat there for a while. And then 2009 comes around. Chaos is, I think, about 10 days before his album got to get released, and they're looking for the single.
Okay.
I guess at some point before that, Sox had shown the song to Chaos. Chaos was like going crazy over it. He's like, yo, I want this, but never used it. But he recorded it pretty much like a week before his album. Got it done, got it mixed. Pretty much just added his verse at the top. So Sox used to have 2 verses on there. One verse is kind of taken out, replaced with Chaos's verse on the second half of the tune, and then puts it on the album. Yes. It wasn't actually. Was it the second single? It was the second single because Zamboni, I think, was the first single, or no. So it was a third single. 4321 was the first single. Then Zamboni. No.
Sunday Morning was around there somewhere in that
album. Sunday Morning wasn't on the album. Okay. Sunday Morning was on Exit, I believe. So no, it was 4321. I Wish I Knew Natalie Portman, then Zamboni. So I was the second single on that project. The best selling single. I would say, you know, not to toot my own horn, but a Canadian classic.
Yes.
Which is crazy because it samples a song called California. Phantom Planet got most of the publishing on that. They ate up my part. So I got paid off that tune, and I got paid off the front end twice. So I got paid when Sox took it, and I got paid when Chaos took it. So I got paid twice on the same beat, which was great. And then the residuals were great. You know, it played around the world. I remember going to Australia one time and just hearing it down there on the radio. I was like, nice. Hey, sick. Like, the song has reach. So I never knew making it when I was in Jane and Finch that it would go this far.
Yeah.
And that Chaos would pick it up out of all people. Like, I've made remixes with Chaos's voice, but I never knew I'd get to know Kevin as a person and drink with him and have fun with him and, meet Nelly Furtado and all these things off of this one track. So it's a blessing. Yeah,
man, that's an amazing story. And even like the journey that beat went through before it even became a song is crazy.
It's like, I don't know what I've seen, but it's like a dollar bill. Like, it's on the street, and then if someone picks it up and it goes through different hands, and you're seeing the life of that dollar bill. It's kind of like that. It felt like that song went through so many different versions and journeys, and then it eventually ended up with Chaos, who made it, one of his staple songs. I would say his last biggest tune that people remember, right? Which is, and he still creates great music till this day. But I think, whenever he performs it, part of his set, or when he even performed it for the OVO thing, right? Like, a lot of people are like, hey, I know that song. Yeah, like I love that. I have one of those, at least in my library,
Yeah, man.
And that is Canadian too, because, to me, like, it'd be great if I got like a big American hit. It'd be great if I got a big worldwide hit, but, Canadian hip hop raised me. Yeah. So it's always been my dream to have at least like one Canadian classic in the chamber,
Yeah. Nah, man, that's mission accomplished right there.
Yeah.
And even with this interview here, or this conversation, I want to be able to get the full Rich Kid story, because To be honest, the 2 times that you came through, the first time we did not even know how to podcast. That was episode 3, right?
Yeah, shout out my man Herc.
Yeah, man. Salute to PK Herc. We had like smoke competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We asked you like 2 questions.
We was getting high. Y'all niggas asked me, so how'd you beef with Saigon? I'm like, oh my God.
Right?
Like, nigga, that was 7 years ago.
Yeah. But I didn't feel like we weren't good at interviewing at the time, so we didn't get a full interview. And then the second time you came through with your boys, with
Adam Bomb and Tona.
Naturally Born Strangers.
Yep.
So we had to kind of split the questions.
My Juno
right?
brothers.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit, right? Your parents are from Ghana.
Yep.
You're right. You were
Ghana,
right? And you were raised in the nice part of Mississauga at first before your parents split, and then you and your mom moved to Ridgeway. What was that transition like?
I don't know. It just seemed. So that's the thing. I don't know if that's on. Was that Wikipedia?
It might have been.
Probably Wikipedia. So my dad was actually living with us when we were at Ridge, and then he left. Yeah, like I feel like we lived in a nice part of Saga where when my parents were together, but it's just as a kid you don't really know what the politics are going on behind the scenes with your parents and the economics of shit.
Yeah.
Right. So we were really renting where we lived. And we couldn't really afford it, so then we moved to Mississauga Valley Road, which just had a lot of buildings. The building had a lot of Indian people in it. Smelled like a chicken korma most of the time. But it's just most of my friends were like Indian, white, Chinese, black, Jamaican, all that. And then we had moved to Ridgeway after that. But I think my parents just knew how to keep it together, and my mom always gave me most of the things I wanted. Like kids today want way more than what we wanted back in the day. Like what we wanted back in the day, we didn't need electronics. We didn't ask for, oh, mommy, give me a MacBook or give me an iPad or give me a cell phone. Like none of those things existed. So the simple things my mom could give me and made me feel like, I was rich. But I think when my dad left, it wasn't really about what I could afford. It was more about just having a male figure there that could give me some guidance. Right? And then I just turned to just the homies in the neighborhood, the guys that were older than me that kind of wanted to mold me into whatever they wanted to mold me into, whether it was, helping selling weed or just, being their young nigga in the clique that do whatever to hold them down, just it was easy to transform me.
Yeah. Well, what about high school life? Like, what kind of kid were you in school? Were you one of the popular guys in school? Were you into sports?
No, I wasn't into sports. I gave up sports like right when I hit high school. I was playing some sports when I was in elementary, but once I got to high school, I was like kind of smoked out by that time. And I was a nerd, man. I won't even lie. Like I felt like I think coming up, I didn't want to admit that I was a nerd because it's like it wasn't cool to admit you're a nerd. I think now in this era, it's like niggas like anime. Like niggas aren't afraid to like anime. And I always loved anime, bro. I always loved fucking, Dragon Ball Z and that, Ninja Scroll, all these fucking anime shits. I love that shit. I was always drawing that. I think that was my first foray into creativity, just animation, drawing, and then music. Obviously, like I always liked rapping and making rhymes because my dad was a DJ. He always had the newest music that was coming out. He had vinyl, he had CDs, tapes. So I would listen to shit, and Bad Boy was my shit. Like I loved Mace, I loved Diddy, like P Diddy and the Bad Boy family was like I listened to that front to back. I loved Biggie. I loved all that shit coming from Bad Boy. Bad Boy just inspired me, like especially Mace, because Mace was like the coolest nigga. He didn't have a lisp, but he was like slow in his delivery and cadence. And I was like, yo, I want to be that nigga, bro. I want to be Mace, bro. Like that was my inspiration. So you know, I was that kid that understood that I had a nerdy kind of complex where, you know, once I get attached to something, I want to learn it. I really want to learn it and figure out the mechanics of how it works. So whether it was rapping, whether it was making beats, those were the things that I was really attached to.
Yeah.
Right. Once I got off the animation thing, and it still has little it re-enters my life here and there when I teach my daughter how to draw, and I tell her like, oh, you could shade in here, and I'm like, oh shit, I still remember that. But like music really grabbed a hold of me in terms of just lyricism, and then the beats, the instrumental component. I always wanted to learn that and figure out, how does P. Diddy make these beats? Then I found out he doesn't really make the beats. But like before that, I was just like, yo, how does he make all these fucking, how did he take this Diana Ross song and just make it totally new again?
Yeah.
Right. And that shit always boggled my mind. So once I figured out how to do that, when I hit maybe grade 10, it was just like, wow, I can make beats. I can sample now. And then a man named Kanye West came in. I was just like, yo, this nigga is the God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's God. And it was to the point where I'd sample shit. I find soul samples, so I sample shit. And then Kanye would drop a tune like, what was that? The one with Twista.
Overnight Celebrity, yeah.
So I sampled Lenny Williams first, and then he samples Lenny Williams. And obviously, to my hood, like, they're like, yo, Kanye stole your beat, fam. Kanye stole your beat. It's not even close to the same beat.
He just used the same sample.
Kanye got his shit mixed by Guru, my nigga. Like, it's not the same shit. But regardless, it was kind of like, it was one of those things where I was so attached to hip hop. It was so a part of my life where I couldn't even separate. Like, I even started believing the hype myself. I was just like, oh, Kanye must have stole my shit. He must have heard it somewhere. But yeah, like that's the kind of kid I was, man. I was just so attached to making beats, so attached to rhyming with my homies. But like, I've had so many different phases of nerddom where it's like, music is where I settled in. And I think it's also part of my neighborhood too. Like, everybody wanted to rap, everybody wanted to be something. We're looking to be something, whether it was like be thugs or be cool or be a fucking gallus, whatever it was.
Yeah.
We're just looking to be something. And I always wanted to be somebody that people fucked with, right? Like, I can't even lie and say, like, sometimes I'd be telling people, like, I don't give a fuck what people think about me. But I really did. I really did give a fuck about what people thought about me. And I wanted to shape what people thought about me in terms of, is he a dope lyricist? Is he a dope producer? All those kind of things. I wanted to be able to shape what that was. It didn't matter how far I went, whether I was a superstar, whether I was the lowest of the low. I just wanted to shape my perception,
And even like, as you were growing up, like, even with the, you're explaining the nerddom, right? Was it an issue, because you're coming up and you're like in the hood, right? People don't like the nerd stuff. Like, did you have to hide some of that stuff, or were you open about being a nerd when you were young?
I think being a producer also helps that, though, because they allow you to be. You have to be a nerd to be a producer.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, you have to use a computer, and like, from our era, like, you're a nerd if you use a computer. Yeah, right. Like, now, you can fucking be a shooter and still type on the computer or type on your phone and use technology. Now,
long ass DMs.
Technology is so a part of life that you can't separate that and say, oh, you're a nerd for using that. But at that time, there was a whole bunch of my niggas did not know how to use a computer or use email and shit like that. So for me to even be on there to try to figure out how beats are made and this and that, they're like, yo, bro, you're like a whiz. Like, all right, bet. I'll be the nigga then. I'll be that guy.
And you're the link.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got to remember, not everybody knows how to use the stuff, but we need to record. We need to get some beats. Like, we need to know one man who knows how to do this shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And there was a couple on my crew that knew how to do it too, but it was just like, I became the default guy. Right. And I had no problem with that because I also looked up to RZA. I looked up to, Premier. I looked up to all those producers that I felt were like the cornerstone of all those great groups or the great acts that I loved in hip hop. Havoc.
Yeah.
Right? Like once I found a Havoc kit and I found that snare, nigga, I never stopped using that snare. I feel like that snare is probably in, is it? I don't know if it might be in the fucking Last Hope. That might be a Havoc snare, if I'm not mistaken. But Havoc had that snare. And that's the thing. I found out Havoc took that snare from Q-Tip. Right? Like, so it might be a Q-Tip snare.
Yeah.
But like, I was just the guy that knew how. I wanted to be the guy that brought people together. I wanted to be the centerpiece, the ringleader, the nucleus that brought all the great parts of music together. And I didn't have to be the face of it.
Yeah.
I didn't really give a fuck about being the face. I only became the face just because I knew I could do it and really just shut niggas up sometimes where niggas like, yo, but you can't do that. All right, nigga, here we go again. I'll do it, but I don't really care. I'd rather push other people to the forefront.
No, for sure. And did it help with keeping you out of trouble? Because over the time you were growing up and, you did get involved in the streets, right? To a degree. Even like before that, when do you think that you jumped off the porch for the first time?
I don't know. I fucked with, see, the thing about it is, I know in my mind that I didn't have to get involved in anything. I can never convince myself, oh, I did it for my mom's just because she didn't have enough money and we didn't have enough to eat. Like, listen, I didn't eat good at home really in reference to how I eat now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I eat healthy now. I'll spend whatever I want on a meal. But like, yeah, I was, macaroni and cheese and fucking hamburger helper wasn't the best shit, but I was eating.
Yeah.
I still have food. So, like, I think I hopped off the porch maybe when I was 13, 14, like selling weed and stuff like that. But earlier it was just to do it so I could smoke. I just wanted to be able to smoke. So I smoked and then just basically I'm supporting my habit. Yeah. Like now that I'm looking at it, I was a fucking addict. I was a fucking addict as a youth. I'm just basically selling this shit. We're just discovering
weed and shit, right?
I'm doing this shit to support my weed habits and just smoke more. That's crazy. That's crazy when you look at shit back in hindsight. You're like, oh, I was gonna waste you. But like that's you're right. Like, but that's what I was basically doing. And then, I would make some money off it. So either money would go to studio time or, as I got older, when I started selling like cocaine, crack cocaine and shit like that, I went into getting my M-Box and went into getting my speakers, which was important for me because I think the speakers, definitely getting those Yorkville speakers changed my bass, like how I mixed my own shit. And it made me understand the relevance of mixing my shit. Yeah. Right? Like to get it like, oh, okay, now I know what I'm listening to. Before I didn't know what the fuck I was really hearing. But the Yorkville speakers helped me like really visualize, okay, my bass needs a little bit more banging. I can define how my drums sound. Oh, I can EQ it. Like just EQing made sense more when I had better speakers. So, like, drug dealing wasn't a necessary. Like I could have easily asked my mom for money and just been like, yo, give me this, I'll pay you back. But you want to get out the mud. You want to get on your own, right? And I worked at jobs, worked at Wendy's, worked in warehouse, done the agency shit. Like, I don't want to do that shit. I ended up going back to doing that shit after I sold some drugs too. Like, I just did anything where I could get a quick dollar so I could bring it back to this music shit.
Yeah, and that's what I like about this story. And I feel like there's always a means to an end. Like, you didn't just want to fucking get a bunch of chains and stuff like that. No. Like, you literally made specific purchases off of different substances. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. And that's my
You
thing.
should use
like,
that. You could take. I don't rap anymore, so you can have that bar. Purchases off of substances. You can take that. You know what I'm saying?
bet. Like, no, I knew what I wanted to do. I was never lost in where I needed to be.
Yeah.
Right. Anything that I do, even now, even if I'm not doing music as my forefront, you know, being involved in a program that I came from, that I was in the first round of, you know what I mean, to help other youth find where they want to go. Like, I feel like I have two desires: to create and to help people create. Those are my two desires. Those are my purposes in life. As long as I'm living that and I'm getting paid for it, the fuck I gotta complain about, right?
Yeah.
That's but before, when I was a youth, coming up, it was just about creating. I just wanted to be able to create and not have any restrictions on that. And when the restrictions came about, I kind of retreated from it.
Yeah.
When I was signed to Black Box, which is, they're a cool label, shout out to Black Box, but I felt certain restrictions over there, and I was like, I don't really fuck with this kind of label situation. I knew if I ever went higher into the majors, it'd probably even be worse.
Yeah.
So I kind of retreated from the game for a certain amount of years. And Remix, when I started working with Remix in 2017, it brought my love back for it. Working with an artist named Idman, amazing R&B artist, helping mentor her and coaching her for this game. And now to see how far she's went, she just released her new single on January 20th called Hate. I'm part of that team that's helping bring her to the limelight. Not only Toronto, but the world. She signed to Sony Arista in the States. She's amazing, right? I want to be, again, the RZA or the Diddy or the nigga that can bring the talent to the forefront. That's always been my my purpose, what I'm driven for. And then I get to produce and write for these artists as well too, which is great. So, that's you gotta go to where you gotta make your purpose. Right? You can't just expect it to just drop out the sky. You have to actually tell yourself, I'm going to be this. Be committed to it. Almost to a fault, or almost to an obsession, to be who you say you are.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I was, even before music was the forefront of my life. I wanted to be the funny guy. I wanted to be the entertaining guy, like all facets of what my personality is now. I had to be driven to be that. And I guess I am that to a certain amount.
Yeah, no, for sure. And back in those days when I first used to see you and JUNIA-T, salute to JUNIA-T.
JUNIA-T, the architect.
Right? You guys used to be on the stages, and I feel like we had this conversation episode 3 where you guys used to be on the stages, like just making up songs, like right there on the spot over like beats that y'all made, right? Yep. Were you already in the Remix project at that point? Or was that pre-Remix?
Yeah, I was in the Remix project 2006 to 2007.
Class 1.
Class 1, yeah. That's when the program was 6 months. Now it's a 9-month program. I met Junia when I was coming out of high school. I was still in high school when I knew Junia.
Yeah.
And he was just one of the most just amazing freestylers, commanded the attention of the cypher. You've probably been in ciphers with him and seen him do his thing. Like, it's just everybody's drawn to him. The way he's able to like just think of words on the spot and drop them, keep the flow and the cadence. It was just amazing. That's what attracted me to him. I was just like, yo, this nigga's dope. I need to come back. Like I would come in a cypher, I would just listen to him. I'm like, okay, I need to go home and write some shit. I'm gonna come back to this cypher the next day. I come back, I say some shit that make people laugh, like, yo, this nigga crazy. And then that's how me and Junior connected. Yeah. And then when I was, going through my legal troubles and I was on house arrest, that's when I recorded most of my house arrest mixtape. at his crib. And from there, we've been tight ever since. That's my brother in arms right there. And, you know, it's a thing where you got to hang with like-minded people to keep you on your, on your stance, like where you want to go. Like, where, like I said, my purpose isn't necessarily to be a superstar. It's just to be great at what I do and show people that they can be great as well. And JUNIA-T is the living embodiment of that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's done that for so many people in Saga. Like, he's done that for me. He's done that, I would say, he done that for Crooklyn. You know, I don't want to speak for Crooklyn, but, you know, I think Crooklyn would even attest to it. You know, they were in a group together with Smash Brothers, but now, even since they've both kind of went their own ways and now do production, Crooklyn's been shining in production, just, you know, doing stuff for Isaiah Rashad and J-Rock and Ab-Soul. He's on the new Ab-Soul album. Like, he's been doing so many different things. And he just recently became a producer in like 2018, 2017.
Wow. Right?
So, but he would even attest to like just JUNIA-T kind of coaching him and showing him the ways, even back then when we was rapping. So JUNIA-T is, if I'm the RZA, I don't know, JUNIA-T got to be Divine or whoever. Like, I'm trying to think of who that older head kind of patriarch of the system is. But
Papa Wu or something.
Papa Wu, right? Like Junior is really like that architect of shit, and a lot of things that I learned, you know, come from him. Like, I look at him as definitely older bro. He sees me as an equal, but I always look at him as a bigger brother, even though we're not far in age.
I did not know that. That's interesting thing to learn here, King. And even with you and your beat making journey, right? You started making beats because you didn't want to rap over other people's beats eventually, right?
Yep.
First beats. Talk to me about like making your first beats. Like, were they good off the hop or were they
No,
trash?
they were shit. My first beats were ass. They were fucking cockroach doo-doo.
When did they start getting good though? Where you had the confidence where like you're gonna start presenting these full package songs that are your raps with your beats?
The craziest thing is I don't know, because I could hear a beat that I made pre-2010s and I'll still feel like it's ass. Right? But, you know, in that library of stuff is still The Last Hope, the Get Right song with Frank and Dank. You know, I Wish I Knew Natalie Portman. Like, that's pre, even though, that's pre-2010. Like,
that's your early batch?
Yeah, that's an early batch. But it's not the early batch, but it's an early batch, technically.
That's
right?
Crazy.
Because I made that beat in 2008, I believe. 2007, 2008.
Wow. That's relatively young in your beat making though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
because I really started making beats like, I started making beats like 2004, 2003, 2004. And my beats got better as FL Studio got better.
Yeah.
They gave me more resources to play with, because the early like FL3, they didn't really have shit to, like, I could only make techno beats and like really raw kind of beats. But as the program advanced, that's when I guess I started to advance.
Yeah. And even you mentioned one of your early beats was your first placement was Frank and Dank's Get Right song.
Yes, sir.
So talk about that first placement and getting that.
That was my manager at the time, Courtney Uno. You know, Courtney. You know, I don't really get to big up Courtney as much because, you know, we had a falling out, but Courtney was definitely instrumental to introducing me to a lot of the different scenes in Toronto, the guys that were running it, the underground dudes, like just everything in hip hop. Introduced me to, like, you know, the Scarborough guys like IRS and Monolith and all that, you know, guys like Empire doing it from downtown and, you know, Hustle Man. in like the north end of the city and shit like that. Fucking smugglers. You know what I mean? All right, right? I'm bringing it back, right? Like all those kind of things. He even introduced me to like listening to Project Bouncer. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is where I'm really here in the city. So essentially, like Courtney is the one that had a tie to Ivan Evidente, who was working in marketing department. Now he's A&R at Universal, but at the time he was in marketing. He was cool with Ivan. And he was like, yo, I want you to hear this kid, Rich Kid. He has beats. Gave him a beat CD. Ivan shows it to Frank and Dank, who he's managing at the time. And they're also signed to Universal through an album deal. Yeah. Frank and Dank are legendary Detroit rappers. You know, Frank is the cousin of Jay Dilla.
Yep.
So, you know, they come under Jay Dilla's protege wing. And they moved to Canada because I guess they felt like they could take over Canada. I feel like there was a certain period of time where American rappers came up here just thinking like, yo, we're gonna take over Canada because we're American. You know, they won't suspect us. It's just like, I don't know if that's gonna work, nigga. In hindsight, none of it worked. But Frank and Dank, they were cool as hell, man. Like meeting them, they were like down to earth niggas. They told me they had played the shit for Dilla and shit. He liked it. And then they were like, our album's already out, but we're gonna do a re-release, like a deluxe.
Yeah.
We're gonna put your joint on there. I was like, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
They didn't pay me for the beat, but I didn't need to get paid at that time because I felt like, one, I was already making my little like $50, $100 off of selling beats local. But
this guy said $50, $100. That's crazy,
right? You know,
sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, it's crazy to me now. If anybody ever offered that to me now, I'll never speak to you again.
Yeah.
But it was like I knew about opportunity, right? It's opportunity doesn't always come with dollar signs. Sometimes it comes with networking and linking. And imagine I would have said to Ivan, nah, I want $200 for that beat.
Yeah.
Ivan would never look at me like as a reliable person, or maybe I would be reliable because, you know, I delivered the beat on time. Actually, the crazy thing about it is when Ivan told me that he wanted to take the beat, because I then became cool with Ivan, so he would talk to me directly. And he told me that they wanted the beat, my computer crashed. And I lost all my files on my computer. The smart thing I did was save my beats on CDR or a CD rewritable or a CDRW or whatever. So I saved that beat and I had it there.
Man's bringing it back,
right? Come on, man. This is gonna be the throwback session.
Yeah.
But like I saved that beat, and I don't know why I had just that beat saved. Maybe because I felt like, that was one of my doper beats. But I had that saved. And it was literally after Ivan had called me and told me like, yo, they want that for the album. My computer crashed. So I remember me and Courtney going to the computer store and they're like, yo, there's nothing we could do to save him. And it's kind of like, you know, when your homie's like in the hospital, you know, he's in critical, and then the doctor comes out and is like, there's nothing we could do to save him. Courtney's like, yo, what the fuck? Yo, you understand that my whole career, my artist's whole career is in there. And computer guy's like, yo, I don't know what you guys do. Like, what are you talking about, fam? Like, I'm just the computer guy.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, fuck beats. I don't even want to make beats anymore. And then they told me they're gonna put on their album. I was just like, you know what? I'll make beats again. It took me like 3-4 days. Then I got back at it. They cleared my computer out because, I don't know, it was like a boot sector drive failure or some shit like that. And just got back to making beats again. And when they said my name on the track, that like definitely put my name in the city. They're like, oh, who's that? That Rich Kid's kind of like a Toronto Kanye West.
Yeah.
And I was happy to take that title because I was like, yo, I love soul beats. You know, I love making that kind of hip hop. And I think I just needed a way to kind of enter the game, right? And just even seeing Frank and Dank be a part of the all Canadian thing that Drake did for OVO Fest, I was just like, these niggas aren't Canadian, so why are they on the show? But
They're
I'm
part
like,
of Canadian history.
but those are my niggas, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Dank, I still talk to Dank here and there. We hosted a show not too long ago. Frank, I know Frank's been living in LA, but we talk here and there. But like those guys gave me my first introductions into the game, and they were always cool big brothers, bro. They always smoked me out. They always fucking invited me to parties, invited me to studio sessions, and kind of taught me the game when I was a fucking 19-year-old trying to figure out my way in the city of Toronto.
Yeah. And even around that time, is that around this time when you made The Search with Drake and Socks?
Yeah, it's closer. I think I made that when I was around like maybe 20. Socks, I was introduced to Socks through Chase Parsons, who was his manager at the time. And Socks really took a liking to me because of production. And, you know, I would say a lot of my production earlier on in the game, like, had a lot of influence of Socks because I loved Money or Love. Money or Love was one of my favorite beats of all time. Right? Like, just watching him, like, do his shit, I was just like, yo, who is this nigga? You know, any production he would add to shit, whether it was like Choclair with the fucking the one with Corrupt, the Under the Skunk joint, or like the fucking Rubbin', or Pimpin' Life when he did with Big Black Lincoln, which is a classic album, which is criminally underrated and for some reason not on fucking streaming, which pisses me the fuck off.
Really?
Yeah, you can't find it.
Yeah, you're right. I've only when I ran it on the podcast, it's always been through the music videos.
Can't find it. And then his project, Underground Tapes, right? His joint with Pharaoh and fucking Common, his joints with Common. Like, I was just very, like, I was a Socks head. And like, by the time I was really starting to get into my own, he had just dropped Coming Up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this beat is so simple, but so amazing. I just love that shit. So, you know, to meet him and for him to take a liking to me was a dream. And he took me under his wing. Like, I'd be in sessions at Chris Smith Management. They had a studio in that building. And I remember meeting him, meeting Gadget, meeting like all the like Tyson, who was also
the building in Liberty Village area.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like
we used to record out of there too.
Yeah. So not there. That's a Carpet Factory.
Okay.
But I'm talking about in Chris Smith's management's building, which was right next to, you know where Legends League is, right? So across that parking lot that's there was a building, and that was Chris Smith
on Moat
Management.
Street.
On Moat.
Yes.
No, not on Moat. On Camden.
Oh, the Camden one.
On Camden,
yeah.
So, we'd be up in there, and like, you know, I remember just, you know, breaking down stems for him to just fucking rework on his computer and shit like that. I'm just like, wow, like I'm here, dog. I'm in the studio, dog. Like, oh, this is sick. And that was a big influence on just my style. You know, even just rapping. You know, I looked at Socks as like, yo, this nigga could do everything. He could rap, he could sing, he could play instruments. I'm just like, yo, this nigga is a god.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things he wanted to do, whether it was with my production or even how he wanted me to rap, I was always with it because I felt like he knew the way. You know what I mean? I let him lead the way a lot of times. And you know, that's what led to I wish I knew Natalie Portman, right? I don't get that without him leading the way. And sometimes you can be great, but you have to understand the greatness of other people and how two great people can coexist. I obviously didn't think I was as great as him, but you know, you can sometimes feel like, oh, is this greater person's trying to steal my shine type of shit.
Yeah.
I never felt that way. I kind of always understood my position as a producer to kind of like make sure that this artist knows how to find themselves over my beat and play a part in it.
Mm-hmm.
Be a collaborator, be a part of the team instead of being the forefront. I think that's the brilliant thing about producers. I feel like we are just adjusted to being a part of the team.
Yeah.
Role players to a certain degree. And we get our flowers when we understand how to then, as role players, like I feel like it's like a Kyle Lowry situation. Right? Like now he gets his flowers as the main guy, even when he's not on the Raptors.
Yeah.
Right? He's still a role player anywhere he goes. Right? But when he came here, actually, I'm not even done my water.
Yeah, well, I'll give you another one and you got a backup.
But thank you. Like when they made him a duo with DeRozan, but we all know DeRozan was the main guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like Lowry would always be number 2. But I think when it came playoff time, 2019, DeRozan's gone. Now you got Kawhi there that's not really playing with the team as much, because of load management and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Been there, you won us some games, but, he's a playoff nigga. But you need that nigga that's always been down in the trenches, seen Toronto when we're at our bottom, brought us to a second round playoff team, until we would meet LeBron and then, it's just, okay, it's over. But he had that experience, right?
Yeah.
And I felt like I was the Lowry to Sox's Kawhi, right? Like, I would know, okay, I know what this nigga needs to get him amped. Don't matter if I get only 2 points this game.
Yeah.
But as long as this nigga could go off and get 40 for us, that I knew how to play my position.
So did he introduce you to the boy?
Shout out to our sponsors, Astro Pink, always coming with that loud. Check them out on their website, myastropink.com, or you can hit them up on Instagram at astro_pink. If you know, you know.
Nah, I met the boy through Courtney
On
a random street. Well, it wasn't random. It was like Duncan in Adelaide. I remember he's like, yo, we're going to go meet Drake. I'm like, who's Drake? He's just like, yo, from Degrassi. I'm like, what's Degrassi?
Yeah, because we weren't on it like that back then.
I feel like I did probably hear about it, but it was just like I didn't want to hear about it because I'm like, what does it have to do with my life? But like, yeah, I met him. He hopped out of a Lex, had a chain on. He's just like, yo, it's like, what's good, Courtney? Yeah. It's like, oh, what's good, rich kid? Yeah, all right, cool. And I always say it in interviews. I was like, in my mind at that time, I was just like, yo, I could rob this nigga. Like, I'll rob this nigga. Like, and that was my mentality at the time. It was just either robbing or selling drugs. And I didn't really like look at too many things past that. Yeah. Obviously, music was always a thing, but just when I see something better than what I had, it was just like, okay, I need that. But I also did hear, what was that song? Do What You Do. Or Do What You Do After. I was like, oh, okay, this kid's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And Courtney was like a big fan of him. He was just like, yo, this kid's going to be the next one to blow.
He was already playing on Project Bounce at that time.
Yeah, he was playing.
And Flow.
And for me, it was like, the nigga got clips on the record. He got Malice on the record. I fuck with this nigga.
Yeah.
I fuck with this nigga. And I think that's even where me and Drake, like eventually me and Drake would link up after his beef with Aristo. I had produced a song for Aristo that was dissing Drake. Drake called me. Drake's like, the song's dope. Let's work. We worked. But like a lot of our conversations where we would be working in Carpet Factory, where then 40 would be in those studios. It would either be 40 or Gordo. A lot of our conversations would be about, yo, Lord willing, how like that's like a fucking classic album. When fucking Hell Hath No Fury came out, where it's just like, yo, this nigga Pusha T, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy how things just turn out after. Like,
Wild.
I was just like, yo, the nigga we were talking about how we both fuck with his rhymes. It's like, then you're beefing with the nigga. And, you know, there was a time me and Drake talked about that too. I was just like, yo, how are you beefing with Pusha? He's just like, yo, you know, it's just these niggas are coming at me. But I also feel like part of it is, you know, Drake goes at it. Drake is a competitor. And obviously if you're going at his big homie Lil Wayne, it makes sense why you're, you know, trying to defend it.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy because it's just like, I just remember the moments where we're praising this guy. And even like talking to 40 and being like, yo, like, you know, they all know he's dope. It's just you can't now admit the guy is dope anymore because you're in war with him.
That's the
But I feel like you can though. You can. Like,
you could like the Ops' music.
You can. Like I just, you know what? I just seen what was it? Pressa and fucking YG at like some Kodak Black fucking thing at like,
I don't know if they were liking the music that much.
But YG was saying the lyrics to the music. It was but that's the point. Like, they obviously don't like the music, but you have to like it to a certain
you gotta to know the tune, you gotta
right?
like it still.
So I'm like, bro, like, and they could be doing it in jest. Obviously, they're doing it in jest. They're not doing it to say like, yo, we're the biggest fans of this nigga. But at the end of the day, you got to know your enemy like that. If that's really your enemy, you got to know your enemy. Like, you know them inside and out for them to be a worthy opponent for you.
That, right? You know, and not to interrupt you, it's crazy that your first connection, because you went on to do stuff on like the comeback season. And like, but your first connection was like around the Aristo times, bro.
Yeah.
Like, if I could be an emoji right now, I'm the mind blown emoji, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, that's early in the game, fam.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about that's Drizzy's first rap beef ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like a back and forth. Like, that's what, so when I look at what he's done with Pusha, I kind of like go back to that. Like, cause it started with Aristo doing a song on Boy Wonder's beat. Then whatever issue happened with them, I'm assuming this was like some, you know, Windsor Sports Weekend incident I heard about back in the day.
Right.
Drake getting back at him on that same beat that Boy Wonder did. Also, Boy Wonder apparently had a problem with Aristo using the beat. And then Aristo coming back at him on my beat. So I think the song was called Good Morning or
Good Morning, Good Riddance.
No, okay, wait, is Good Morning, Good Riddance the response to that? I forget. But
the response tune from Drizzy is Good Morning, Good Riddance.
Okay. So yeah, so I forget what, there was something good. That was in response to the track that Aristo dissed Drake on my beat.
Okay.
And I didn't even know Aristo was using the beat. Like, it was one of the many beats I sent him. He used it and put it out. And then I'm looking at Hip Hop Canada and fucking looking at Drake Diss, you know, produced by Rich Kid. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm calling Aristo like, yo, fam, like, he's just like, yo, my bad, bro. Like, don't worry, like, I'll hit you, you know, I'll compensate you. I never got compensated for it. But, and Aristo, one thing I'll say about Aristo is him and Tony Webb. Shout out Tony Webb, one of my OGs from Ridge. You know, they always pay me for beats. They actually paid me handsomely for beats before anybody, like, you know, in the thousands. So I was just like, you know, they actually showed me I could actually make money on music. And they put me on some singles. You know, I got Sizzla on a single and shit like that. You know, so shout out
Sizzla on a single, but that's
yeah.
dope.
So, you know, shout out to Aristo. But yeah, so he used the beat. He said, my bad, you know, but, you know, it's already out. Cool. So now I'm in the middle of this beef, but I don't look at it as I'm in the middle. I don't look at it like, oh, Drake doesn't like me. I don't really care because I'm like, none of these niggas are street niggas, so I'm not really pressed over it.
Yeah.
But then Drake hits me and he's just like, yo, you made that, I guess he got my number from Courtney. And then he's like, yo, that Aristo beat you made, yo, that shit was fire, fam. We gotta work. I'm like, all right, bet, let's work. You know, like it right? I didn't look at it as a thing, but I kind of also looked at it now in hindsight when he had to beef with Pusha T. Like, Drake is a real strategic
That's
nigga.
strategic as a
He's a
motherfucker,
very
bro.
strategic nigga. Like the shit that he did with Meek. Actually, not the Pusha, the Meek shit. It was just like it was brilliance. It was brilliance because the first diss that he did was kind of like it was. See, that's the thing, man. I feel like the problem is you feel like when you talk about these things, you're gonna offend some political connects, but I don't have any political connects. But it's just like I feel like Drake got Draked when he went against Pusha. Like Pusha did the Drake thing going, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the way he did Meek is almost the way Pusha did him with his kind of like with the artwork.
You set the bait, and then man jumps in, sets his tune out.
Yeah.
And here's the haymaker.
Which was crazy to me. And it's like Drake is a competent lyricist. Like, you know, I don't ever listen to the ghostwriting shit because I know Drake got on writing for other people. Like I know his there is no way Drake becomes who he is without writing for other people.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's as a writer, his pen has always been top notch. I've seen him write shit. It was weird to me how the way that battle went, because it's like, one, this is a nigga we both said we look up to.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it's like, wow, he's beating you at your own game.
Yeah.
Right? And Drake admits to it in that Rap Radar interview. So, I don't feel bad for saying that Drake lost. Drake knows he lost, but it's kind of like the LL Cool J cannabis situation where it's like, yeah, LL Cool J didn't deliver a better diss than second round knockout.
Yeah.
But he has a better career, and that's always gonna suffice. And as long as he knows how to make hits, you're always gonna eat, right? But yeah, that's how I really got with Drake in the midst of his first beef, his first war. And I guess I've always been that a good war arsenal. I'm a good weapon.
I have some questions for you that move on in your career. I want to ask one more Drake question.
Yeah.
What about now, 2022, 2023? You guys still conversate every once in a while here and there?
No, we don't talk. We don't talk at all. We don't talk. We don't talk. I don't go to no OVO events. I don't, working with Remix is the closest thing that I get tied to when it comes to like OVO stuff, like maybe OVO Summit. We help run that. OVO is obviously a donor to Remix. 40 used to work there.
Yeah.
Future the Prince was a student in there. We recorded So Far Gone and Comeback Season in there. But like, yeah, I don't talk to Drake. Last time I talked to Drake was when we won the championship, and I seen him in City Hall, and he had come in. There's a whole bunch of reporters chasing him, and it's funny because my niece and my baby moms always make fun of me for it, but like they stuck their hand out to like get a high five from Drake, and Drake passes through everybody, and he comes and he daps me up, and he's just like, "Oh, you good?" Everybody makes fun of me for my Drake impression, but the niggas kind of sound like that to me. Like, "Oh, you good?" Just like, "Yo, man, I'm good, bro. We did it, man. We did it, my nigga." He's just like, "I know, right? It's amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, bro. Like, nah, big up to you, bro, because you really changed the city, my nigga. You changed the city." He's just like, "Oh, thank you, bro. Like, we did this," and that's what I always appreciate about him. He's acting like it's a team effort, like we all did it. Nah, nigga, you did this. You were the golden goose. I didn't do shit.
No, but you contribute. No. When he says this, and I'm gonna give him as his lawyer, his invisible lawyer, right?
His invisible legal counsel.
Exactly. Like when he says we, it's true, fam, because without
you know, the pieces of the puzzle, like the beats that you made in the beginning, all those different things help to add to his story for him to be here in the limelight now.
For sure.
We can't have the Drake that we have now without all those early pieces, fam.
For sure. I'm just a humble nigga, so I'm never going to pump myself up. But it's like, yeah, I feel like, I made some of the niggas earlier, like his transformative tracks, you know, whether it be Presentation, whether it be The Last Hope, those are transformative tracks for him to, especially Last Hope, because I feel like that track was like a passing of the torch, you know, from Cardi to Drake. It's a little like literally, he says, you know, what did Cardi say? Hands blistering from many years of holding the torch, right? Like when they did that on my song, when even Drake told me, he's like, yo, I'm gonna get Cardi on this. Because I have the version where it's just Drake on 2 verses.
Okay.
So when Cardi added his verse to it, I was just like, fuck, bro. Like, this is crazy. This is a literal passing of the torch. Right? So, you know, like, yeah, I don't really feel ways that me and Drake don't talk on a regular, because at the end of the day, like, me and him weren't the best of friends. We were cool. We were very cool. And I feel like, you know, I'm just happy for a nigga's success. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for 40. Wherever they go with it, you know, they always know they have my support. But they got their friends. I got my friends. You know, it's never been an issue for me. The issue, I think, sometimes comes with people who are like, yo, how come Drake hasn't put you on, dog? How come But it's like, niggas don't have to do shit if I'm not signed to them. I'm not their property. I'm not an OVO artist. I'm not. You know, and I was always my own entity. I was always creative on my own. So if they feel they can't mold you in a way, it's kind of like, okay, Rich operates in this side over here. We fuck with Rich, but he operates on this side over there. And that's how it's always been. And I've been cool with that. Like, and you gotta be cool. You gotta be cool with doing you and not feel like other niggas can contribute to your success. You gotta be able to fucking do it on your own, right?
Yeah. And I feel like even on your own, you've been able to achieve a lot. And one of the things, even your first like album or first time even when you started like venturing off and really getting into this music game, right? You started a group in the West Coast with a man from Surrey. Is he from Surrey? SONREAL.
Oh, yeah. No, he's from Vernon, BC, yeah.
Right?
The Closers. Yeah.
Right? Juno nominated, right?
Yeah.
What made you make that choice, fam? Like, I always wondered that when I first started seeing the videos. I was like, that's an interesting choice to me. Like, he went all the way to the West Coast to link up with a man to make an album.
You know what? When I originally started messing with him, I think it was Tasnada. Wait, hold on. This thing keeps on going in. Oh, there we go. It was Tasnada who originally hit me to work on some music and send him some beats. I guess from seeing my shit on Hip Hop Canada. And then SONREAL had hit me getting my contact from Tasnada. And at that time, you know, SONREAL was just a different sounding cat. He sounded like he was from New York. He even makes fun of it now. His first album was called Trapped in the Streets. You know? Hold on. There we go. Yeah, his first album was called Trapped in the Streets. Vernon doesn't have any streets. They're very rural. It's a very rural road type of place, you know. But I think for me telling him like, yo, bro, and he's on my earlier mixtapes. We on some rich kid shit. He's like the intro to one of them. I told Son, I was just like, yo, you could be yourself, dog. Like, I think you have a style that's like, one, I look at you as like the rap Justin Bieber. He always makes fun of me when I say that, but you know, I feel like, yo, you could really do you and fucking sell because you're talented, bro. And when I went on tour from Vancouver, well, it was starting at Winnipeg, and then we went to Vancouver. I was on tour with DJ Mensa.
Salute to Mensa. Holy.
Yeah, shout out DJ Mensa. We had to fly to Vancouver to rent the van and then drive all the way to Winnipeg and start doing shows all the way back. So when we were in Vancouver, Mentor was like, yo, we might have to pay for a hotel. I was like, I hit up Son. I was just like, yo, I'm coming out there. We stay with y'all. He's like, yeah, for sure. And at that time, Son had this big house where it was just him, his manager Byron, his DJ Rich A, and a whole bunch of skateboarders living in this house. Like there was even one skateboarder that was living in a room the size of like your balcony.
Okay.
Like he was just sleeping on the floor. But they were all skateboarders trying to do their thing, and SONREAL was the rap guy, right? And they were all cool as fuck, bro. They welcomed us with weed, like we got ounces of weed from them, and took us to Fortune nightclub and shit like that, and just showed us so much love. And I'm like, yo, son, we got to really link. And he's like, I told him like, yo, I rap too, and he's just like, oh, I didn't know you rap. I thought you just made beats. Like, cool, let's do a track. So we did a track called Already There. Found a lot of chemistry on that track. He eventually came to Toronto to shoot the video. And then, yeah, from there, it was like we built a cool rapport with each other. We're just like performing at each other's shows. I put him on my mixtape. And then Black Box hit me up and hit him up and like, yo, we want to do a joint album with both of you. We'll do a EP together, and then you guys could do your solo albums. So we both agreed to the deal. And that's how Closures came about. But we started it as an EP. One of the first singles was Wonder Girl, Money Money.
Okay. That's early Wonder Girl.
And I just wasn't feeling doing it from Toronto, like doing it in Toronto or doing it in Vancouver. So we got the label to pay for us to go out to LA to do it. And at that time, me and my manager at the time, Addy, we had already been to LA a couple times. We built this good rapport with the studio called Truth Studio. Shout out my man, Nick. So we're just like, yo, let's just do it out of there.
Yeah.
And we can really catch the vibe, right? So we had flew to Vancouver first to do SONREAL's show for his, I think it was the Lightyear project. It was called Lightyear something. Lightyear album. Lightyear something. And then we flew to LA all together to record for the Closers. And we spent like basically like a week and change in that studio every night recording songs for that album. Got my man Thurs on there from You and I, Chin and Jetty, you know, a bass of bass who's now on tour with fucking Lavish. But we had him in the studio, Beat Merchant, shout out Beat Merchant, Arthur MacArthur. Actually, Arthur MacArthur, we had done Hometown, the single from the album.
Okay.
We had done that in Toronto previous to that. But yeah, we just got all these different producers that we admired in the room, and we just created. And I think the main reason of me wanting to fuck with Son, was I think it was just a way, one, to get out into the West Coast and really explore there. And I knew if I mess with artists from different places, it'll bring me there.
Yeah.
Kind of just clicked in for me. But also, I just thought he had a lot of personality. He was dope and he was driven, right? Like, I only want to fuck with people like that. And to see where he's gone now, you know, he just recently dropped the album. He's going to be on tour soon. But like, and how he's transformed, you know, he's totally like pop now. You know, no more rapper. Like, he'll rap here and there, but yeah, and he always tells me like, yo, I'm gonna do a rap album. I need you to produce everything. I'm like, okay, buddy. Once that pop money start rolling in, come on,
bag.
Go back. But just to see how far he's gone, and you know, we both have kids now. It's amazing to see his growth. And I always wanted to fuck with people that want to grow in life. And he always wanted to grow. He never wanted to be stagnant, right? That inspires me to just do a lot of the things I need to do. So like, yeah, SONREAL, fucking with him was just more so a thing where he can make me grow. I know he can make me come out of that shell of just making the street orientated rap.
Yeah.
Expand my pop ability, my writing ability, you know what I mean? Because I wrote a lot on that project. I executive produced it. And even that, just being an executive producer to be like, yo, I could be the Dre in this situation.
Yeah.
I could be the Kanye in this situation, overseeing a project and making sure. And then, you know, when Black Box got it back, they're like, yo, this is amazing. We want to put it out. Universal was, I think they were going to distribute it when they brought it to Universal, and Universal was like, yo, we're going to actually help push this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it became a black box Universal project, and it did well, man. It was on top of the iTunes charts at the time.
Juno nomination.
Juno nomination, brought us on tour, Much Music, video nominations, all of that shit. And it helped propel him to do what he did next, which was Everywhere We Go. And, you know, he kept on doing this shit from there. And then for me, it just helped me drop my solo project and go around the country, go around the world, kind of just doing what I do. So,
and that solo project, that's the one that has SYKE on it.
Yeah, in my opinion, it has SYKE.
Yeah, in my opinion.
It has I Be Lying, The Valley, shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, so
classics.
My whole goal was just to be the RZA, bro. Like, I just want to be the RZA. I just want to, like, help create, give artists the opportunity. Like, just watching the interview with fucking Akon the other day where he's just talking about, like, how he put on T-Pain and Lady Gaga. But, like, once they were starting to get big and they wanted out of their deal, he let them go. Just like, oh, go do your thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I always wanted to be that nigga. Like, so whether it's SONREAL or whether it's like Idman or, you know, whether it's, you know, just anything that comes by my table where I could see its growth and I could put it in a limelight. Even like with Naturally Born Strangers, like that's a thing that came out of the concept of Brian Espiritu in terms of name.
Yeah.
But in terms of vision of what I seen it as for what people perceive as a group. We're not a group. We're just, you know,
collective.
We said it
during
the interview. It's just three artists that want to do a project together. Like, I just always wanted to do a project with them. And to see it on paper and to see it on a vision board, then to see the recording process and then to see it out and to see us on stage where people are saying the lyrics back to us, it's just a crazy journey.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. I love that shit. Like, it fucking amps me up. I love that shit.
It's like inception and then boom, like fruition.
And I just want to always be the author of that shit. I just always want to be able to create, whether it's like, it takes me 5 years or 7 years to create a project. I don't give a fuck. As long as I could see the process through in the way I want to see it, you know, that's where I get my kicks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the stuff that came out.
Yeah.
There's a couple of classic things, or could have been classic things that didn't come out.
Well,
one,
I didn't even know I knocked this shit out. I'm just listening to you in the fucking.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're good with the headphones there.
Check. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay,
good.
So why is it that you have a Kendrick Lamar and a Jay Electronica song that never dropped, bro?
The Jay Electronica one did drop, actually.
Oh,
it was leaked. The project Act 2 was leaked.
Interesting.
And the project, you know, it was supposed to drop 2010.
Okay.
And didn't drop until 2020.
Yo,
like
that's
literally, it dropped during the pandemic, or it leaked during the pandemic. And it was just because a hacker found ways to collect all the tracks, and including mine, and said, yo, pay me a certain amount or I'm going to drop it.
Wow.
Jay Electronica's like, all right, fuck you, I'm going to drop it first. And then he dropped it on like Tidal and all these services.
Yeah. And what he dropped had your beat on it too.
Yeah, it was Memories and Merlot is the name of the track. He talks about his relationship with his mother, and then also talks about his relationship with Erykah Badu.
Interesting.
On the song. And I just, you know, every time I would see him, he'd be like, yo, we're not taking that song off the album. But like,
Hold on. Every time I'd see him, how the fuck do you start seeing him in the first place, bro?
Because he does so many shows. And never drops an album.
So did you link that? Was he here, or
how did I meet him in the first place?
Yeah, to even like start doing some production.
So my man Hesh, from London, he had a cool relationship with Jay Electronica.
Okay.
I don't even know how they met, but they had linked, and somehow my beat got to Hesh, and Hesh showed it to, I think maybe like it was through Addy, maybe. Addy maybe had a relationship with Hesh. Hesh showed him some beats of some Toronto producers. He's like, yo, I want to use this one.
Yeah.
Then at that time, Guru was like the A&R for that project. So Guru went on like an interview where he was talking about producers to watch out for. Says my name in it. He's just like, yo, that kid, Rich Kid, he's dope. You guys probably haven't heard of him, but when you do,
look out for him.
So I see this interview. I'm just like, or my man shows me the interview. DJ Respect shows me the interview. I'm just like, yo, bro, like, can you get a hold of him? He's like, yo, I know some people at Rock Nation. I'll get a hold of him.
Yeah.
Get a hold of Guru. Guru's, you know, very receptive to me. He's just like, yo, you the nigga that made the beat. Yo, Rich Kid, you crazy with it. Like, da-da-da. Like, yo, we got a link. And so we kind of try to finagle some stuff where he would come to Toronto, where in terms of getting them to speak at Remix, right? So he was we look at him as a Remix ambassador. He came and spoke at Remix, got him shows down here to DJ at, because he was doing his DJ shit.
Yeah.
And then we would link at the hotel, and he was like, yo, I want to play you this whole album. So he played me the whole Act 2 album. And to be honest, the shit that he played me in 2010, the leak that happened in 2020 is the exact same album. He hasn't really changed anything. The only difference is, I guess, some of those tracks have already been out, right? There's a couple of those tracks that he had already put out, but, you know, a lot of those tracks were supposed to have some features. I was told Beyonce was supposed to hop on my joint.
Wow.
Didn't happen. And when it leaked, I was kind of happy that it leaked, because I was like, finally people get to hear what it could have been.
Yeah.
And I can get it off my conscience of, I have this Jay Electronica shit that'll never come out.
Did you never tell anybody about that you had this tune?
No, enough people.
People knew?
No, enough people. He announced it when he did a show at I think it was Canadian Music Week.
You was like
It was at Phoenix. No, it was at Phoenix.
Okay.
Because I had met him after Dundas Square. Because I opened up for him at Dundas Square. Right. That was the me and the Sox performance at Dundas Square Manifesto.
Yeah.
But he had a show at Phoenix, and I think I was Big Page's hype man for that show. I was assisting Big Page on stage and shit.
Balling is my hobby.
You know, another one of Drake's enemies. Drake has a big rogue gallery. You know when they talk about Spider-Man or Batman's rogue gallery, like they're, you know, the Riddler. You know what I mean? Drake has extensive rogue gallery of enemies.
Dead.
But yeah, I did that performance with Big Page. And then, you know, Jay Electronica was backstage, and he's just like, yo, we got one on your joint. And I was just like, yo, that's love. Yeah, I talked to Guru, And then he comes on stage and he announces it. He's just like, yeah, I'm working with one of your artists, Rich Kid. And then people were yelling out, and just like, okay, shit. Like, okay, we on now.
Yeah.
And we weren't on for fucking a decade. You know what I mean? And even when I would see him, like, I guess the last time I had seen him was when he did a Red Bull performance with Bad Bad Not Good. It was like a show at Massey Hall.
Okay.
Yeah, went backstage, and he was just like, yo, bro, it's still on the album. Like, we still dropping that shit. That was like maybe, 2018?
Wow.
That might have been even the last time I seen Frank Dukes before he turned into Way of a Ging. But, you know what I mean? I seen a whole bunch of people backstage, but I'm winning backstage. He's just like, yo, it's still on the album. I'm just like, sure.
Yeah, because at this point, come on, bro. 8 years later.
And then as for the Kendrick shit,
Kung Fu Kenny.
I'm never going to hear that track. To me, it doesn't even exist.
How did you link with Kung Fu Kenny in the first place, aka Kendrick Lamar?
We were the first ones, you know, and when I say we, I mean as a part of Remix, and also you know, there was this agency, or what's the term for it? Booking agency called Smash Mouth.
Okay.
At the time, shout out Brendan Huco. He was the one that was booking TDE acts across Canada. He had like the license for that, or I guess, a contract for that
Mm-hmm.
before they had a falling out. But he did that show with Remix, and we did it at Rebel. I opened up for Kendrick. It was me opening up Lord Quest, who was a rapper at that time, who's now A&R at creative A&R at SoCan.
Nice.
So he was rapping on there. And then Smash Brothers, Junior-T and Crooklyn. Crooklyn, who is now a TDE producer. And then Junior-T, who's, mega producer in the city. So we all opened up for Kendrick. It was also supposed to be J-Rock, Absol, and Schoolboy.
Okay.
J-Rock couldn't get through. Yeah, J-Rock couldn't get through. I don't think Schoolboy got through either. So I think it was just Absol and Kendrick.
That would have been a black hippie show. That's crazy.
Yeah. Absol does not remember that show. He stole my lighter. But then one time when I seen him at Phoenix, he was just like, yo, this is my first time in Canada. I'm like, it's not your first time in Canada, fam. Which is like, how high are you, my nigga? But, so it goes. And yeah, meet Kendrick, and he was a fan of Back in the Day, like the song I had Back in the Day. And he was just like, yo, I watched that video. That video was crazy, my nigga. I'm like, thank you. And I was already cool with Dave.
Okay.
Dave Free.
Yeah.
I had met Dave Free months prior to that with him and J-Rock. We had pulled up to this cul-de-sac. I believe it was in Carson, Carson, California. And I feel like that whole cul-de-sac, it was almost like a Friday. Like, remember next Friday? Like, just that cul-de-sac. Like, it's just like, it felt like that. And I remembered Brendan was driving the vehicle. Some big D's ass nigga comes and is like, yo, who you here for? And then he's just like, yo, we're here for Dave and Kendrick. He's like, who? Who you with? And he's just like, yo, I'm here with Rich Kid. He's like, oh, Rich Kid? Oh, park over there. I was just like, oh shit, my name holds weight, nigga. Yeah. And then we go upstairs to this like crib, and it's Dave's crib. And he's there with J-Rock. And I was already a fan of J-Rock. Like, I love the track that he did with Lil Wayne, the All My Life. Was a fan of his project and shit like that, where I had heard Kendrick, but I didn't even really know about Kendrick.
Yeah.
So I was already a TDE fan before I knew what TDE really was. And they kind of like put me on this shit, and they admired my talent, and I swear I went through like 50 beats or more with Dave, just listening, smoking, chilling. And yeah, Kendrick picked a couple of them, and I had Kendrick's email, so I would send him some shit, and he was like, yo, we're gonna get one. We're gonna get one.
Yeah.
I will never hear those tracks because Kendrick, if he's not using them, it's not going to come out. It's going to stay in the vault, and that's it. But yeah, he after I'd done the show with him, I'd done a show with him in New York as well, opening up for him. When he came back for Good Kid, Mad City, Dave hit me up. He was just like, yo, you want to jump on the show? I was like, yeah, for sure. They always showed love, and they always had respect for me. And, Kendrick would name me in a couple different interviews and shit like that. So it was just, I admired him because it was like, he had such a dedication, or he has such a dedication to the art. Doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. If he drinks, it's very minuscule, but doesn't smoke at all. I've tried passing him blunts many occasions. Doesn't smoke. He doesn't let the peer pressure of the world, social media, he doesn't let it get to him. He lives in the bubble of creation, almost like Lil Wayne. But Kendrick is just more aware. He has to listen so he can be socially conscious about the things he's talking about.
Yeah.
But he's also a faith-based guy. So you're not going to move him off his faith.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's very rooted in God. It's in his music. He's just such a distinct personality and doesn't change. And if he does change, it's because he's evolving as a man. I love that shit. It's the same reason why I love Jay-Z. The same reason why I just love artists that know how to mature in front of the audience.
Yeah.
So he's in my top 5. He became my top 5 after seeing him perform for the first time, and just how he knows how to use the stage. It was just like, who the fuck is this nigga? And, you know, I've opened up for a lot of different niggas. You know, I've seen Drake perform. I've seen J. Cole perform. J. Cole's an amazing performer as well, too. But Kendrick, in a way, like the way he does it is just so fucking admirable.
Yeah.
So admirable. And when people don't like Kendrick, I get it, but I'm just like, fuck, bro, what do you like then?
Yeah.
To me, I'm just like, I get it. Like, sometimes his voice could be annoying on certain things, but just the dedication to artistry is like, you don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't get that. And to see it in the forefront, and even to see how he made Good Kid, Mad City, and, you know, to get a call late night to just come to the session and see him, you know, working on fucking swimming pools, you know.
That's crazy. And you witnessed that?
Well, he had already recorded it. Like, we were there. It was me, Crooklyn, and Addy. We came to just play him some beats, and I don't think we even ended up playing any beats. I think we just ended up listening to Mixed by Ali, mixing Art of Peer Pressure, Sing for Me, and Swimming Pools. But just even hearing that, I was just like, and
before they dropped,
it was, and then even him mixing the skits and just wondering, what is this going to, right? And then Soundwave, who is, you know, Kendrick's, I would say, you know, what Boy Wonder is to Drake.
Yeah,
that's what Soundwave is to Kendrick. Complaining about the skits, like, yo, you have too much skits on the album. Like it's not a Master P album. It's not a Cameron album. Why are you putting so many skits on it? For Kendrick defending his point, like, yo, I'm making a movie.
Yeah.
Right? And just seeing the conversation of that, and then for it to drop, called A Good Kid, Mad City, a film by Kendrick Lamar, I was just like, yo, this nigga's my top 5, bro.
Yeah.
Like, the way he's able to explain and articulate himself and then make it happen. That's what inspires me to do what I do, right? So yeah, so to go all the way back to the question that started it, I will never hear that Kendrick track. It will never come out. There's a whole bunch of shit I got with TDE niggas that will never come out. Like, I have so much J-Rock shit sitting in the computer.
The fuck?
That'll never come out, because even if I wanted to leak it or drop it or whatever, it's like, I'm not getting the support of TDE to do it.
Yeah.
And everything got to go through Top Dog. I would hope that, you know, one day, you know, if I ever get to talk to Dave Free or Kendrick again, I could hear those tracks.
Yeah.
Because they're not signed with TDE anymore. They're doing their own thing now.
They might drop on a mixtape or something. You never know.
Probably not. Probably not.
Wishful thinking.
But, you know, it's like the last conversation I had with Dave Free, which was like years ago. I was just telling him, yo, I'm proud of you, bro. Like, you know, because I feel like they try to low dog him. You know what I mean? Like, they try to, like, you know, puppy him in a certain situation. And he broke free first from the TDE holds. And then Kendrick eventually got out of his deal, and then now they're joining up together. It's almost like, you know, PG and Kawhi linking up in the Clippers, even though that hasn't proven to be that successful. But, you know, there's still a super
reunion.
Team. It's still a reunion, right? Like, you know what I mean? And it's just great to see creatives at work. Because Dave Free's also a producer too. He makes beats. Now he directs videos. Now he has his own creative company and he's doing amazing shit. But yeah, like, everything that I do with TDE is just up to them if they want to release it, if they want to drop it, if they want, you know. But I have some of the shit, not the Kendrick shit, but I have a lot of J-Rock shit. Even when I was in LA last year, me and J-Rock did like 4 tracks.
Okay.
He was getting drunk off Jose Cuervo, you know, talking about politics and shit. Like, he was asking me about the politics in Toronto. You know, he's putting me up on the politics in LA and shit. And yeah, we got some bangers, but, you know, it's all up to Top.
We'll see if they drop. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, man.
Only Top can make it drop.
Even like getting outside of music, right?
Yeah.
And I have a few more questions because we're about 90 minutes, a little bit more than
Oh
90
well,
minutes.
we in. Oh, you gonna have to.
We're going in today. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
This is the real drink champs without the drink.
Yeah. Now, 2017. That's when you started working for the Remix project outside of just like, you know, because you were a student once upon a time.
Yep.
But then you started working for the Remix project.
Yep.
And then that's when you started like getting into your more outreach side of things. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So talk about that.
But even in the midst of, you know, that, like I've always been working within outreach youth programs in the city. I think Gavin has been a real inspiration to me in terms of like what he's able to do with community, how he's able to give, what he's been able to set up for a lot of people. And he doesn't really get a lot of the flowers. Shout out to Drex too, Drex Jankar. You know, him and Drex, you know, definitely helped change my life. And, you know, I've got a chance to acknowledge that to him many times. But Gavin especially, because I feel like Gavin has always been more in the trenches with the youth program shit. And he's looked at as the figurehead of it. Like, you know, Drex definitely played a part. Kende Ba as well too, one of the twins, the Ba twins, is definitely an instrumental role in Remix. But Gavin is always, I guess, you know, what I always say, coolest white boy on the planet, bro. Just always one of those guys that like looks out for people, make sure people eat. You know, if he's eating, they eat. And he'll actually like, you know, lob it so you get the win.
Yeah.
Right. You know, a lot of my like first sync placements when he did the Mark Echo campaign and shit like that. He's just like, yo, I want you to do the beats for it. That was my first kind of like sync check. Right. And taught me about sync. So with Remix, it's always been a family thing. Like I pledge allegiance to him. You can't diss Remix in my presence. I'm always going to rep for the great parts of it. And, you know, when I was going through my music career and, you know, decided to stop for a moment and focus on life, Ricky from Remix, who is also in the first round with me, he hit me up and he was asking me like, yo, what are you doing? Like, would you want to be a part of what we're doing going forward? And I was like, yeah, of course, bro, that's fam.
Yeah.
And at first it was like, okay, cool. Like there's this program in Weston Road that needs like a program director or like a program coordinator. I can hook you up with this first, be there for a minute, and then I'll bring you in the Remix when we're ready. Because Remix was going through an alumni year. We were restructuring, looking for a new home after Liberty Village. So I did 2 rounds of my programming in Weston Road, helped restart that program. Because it was a program that actually J Soul was a part of, Claremont II. It's in their neighborhood in Weston. It's Urban Arts. But like the program had been dead for a minute. So for me, when I went over there, I just went straight to the hood. Just asked people like, yo, who's rapping? Who's making the beats? Like running a program here. They're like, yo, aren't you that nigga from TV? Rich the Kid, right? I'm like, yeah, I know the nigga, but it's Rich Kid. But yeah, I got a program, like come through. And niggas from the hood would just come through. Like, you know, shout out Sean Payne and fucking Swagger Right. And you know what I mean? Snoopy came through, DJ Snoopy would come through. Even I don't think he's from that hood, but there's a lot of niggas that were from that area that would come through, and I tell them like, yo, just tell more youths about the program. Like, I'm here now, so I'm going to make sure it runs. And once I was done with that, I went to Remix for 2017, round 13.0. And I brought, you know, the same kind of mentality with that over there. Like, I'm just trying to give youths opportunities and then also build that family vibe that I got when I was in Remix in round 1. Right? Like, it's the same reason why Ricky reached out to me, because we still been cool since then. Like, he's, you know, he knows that I'm a real one. I know he a real one. And we can help make each other better. I'm never going to overstep him. He's not going to overstep me. Keep each other in check. But he's a higher position to me. He's the dean. I'm like program coordinator. But, you know, he always shows me respect. So always lobbies for me to get paid more. And, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful position. You know, they added benefits. So, you know, a nigga dental and medical taken care of.
Nice.
But, and it just puts me in a position to get creative again. And like I said, Remix restarted my love for creativity. You know what I mean? I was always making beats on the side, but it made me like really want to get back into helping artists and creative direction of artists. And that's how I found my artist that I work with, Idman, through the second round that I program coordinated.
Yeah.
And, you know, since then, it's just been dope. I work with all the artists at some point, you know, either production or help consulting them in terms of where they want to go. You know, another one I always name Fame Holiday. Fame Holiday is
Fame Holiday, yeah.
Right? Like hardworking kid from Saga. And he, you know, he cites me and John River and JUNIA-T as inspirations, but I'm inspired by how far he's taking it as well too. And doing it on his own. Like he's coming from that same cloth of the DIY mentality. You don't wait for a label to do it. Just do it on your own type shit. So I'm glad to put him in the program and see how he inspires other people like DJ Natty B and all the people surrounding him. And that's what I want to build. I want to build the same kind of vibe that me and Ricky started off with in the first round of remix till now. Like that shit ain't changing when I'm there.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful, bro. What's the biggest accomplishment that you feel that you've had in your life?
Can we take a washroom break?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
We love hip hop.
What was the last question you asked me before I had to relieve myself?
So, biggest accomplishment, like with everything that we've talked about here, right? And you've done a lot of things in your career. What do you think is one of your biggest accomplishments?
We'll
do let's make it a two-parter. Career-wise and then life-wise.
Well, life-wise, you know, I feel like I'm obligated to say my youth. You know what I mean? And not like I wanted to say anything else. I think having my kid, Kayla, definitely put a lot of things in perspective about my upbringing.
Yeah.
Right? Like the things that my mom did for me, despite the relationship between her and my dad, the role of what my dad was supposed to play and how, you know, now I'm in that position, how I'm supposed to be there for my daughter. And then also, how does my daughter see me?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, there was a time I operated where I never gave a fuck how you see me. Like, I'm going to be me. I can't really do that with my daughter. I have to give a fuck how she sees me. I have to give a fuck what her perception of me is. Because one, she's going to go snitch on me to the teachers and be like, daddy does this. It's like, oh my God. Like, shut up. But two, it's like, that's where her respect comes from. And, you know, I brought my daughter on stage with me. You know, every time, you know, I drop a new song with Idman or when I'm doing something new with beats, I'll be playing it for her. She's like kind of my, she's my barometer of what is hot or not.
Yeah.
You know, like we be listening to new albums in the car and she'd be like, Daddy, I like this. I don't like that. This music scares me. This music's dope. So I would say, yeah, my greatest life accomplishment is having my child. I would say that. And then in career, I think I could say gold plaques. I could say having a Juno, but I really think it's remaining creative and still being myself through everything. Because, you know, I've seen this game break down a lot of people where they don't even want to fuck with it anymore. Unless it comes to a check.
Yeah.
For me, I don't give a fuck about the check because I make money in so many different ways. I'm a hustler. But, you know, I've never changed who I was in this game. I feel like I've always remained the same rich, you know, just based on what people have told me.
Yeah.
And I'm still sponge to the game, even at my big age, right? Like, which you should always be. You should always strive to learn, you know, evolve, not be the same person you were 5 years ago, right? So I think that is one of my biggest successes in music, just staying me.
Yeah.
Right? But like you ask anybody else, they'll say, you know, the gold plaques or the you know the awards or whatever, and those are all cool. But a lot of those acknowledgments don't come from the people you want it to come from, right?
Yeah.
Or you don't, you know, there are people that don't care about the art as much. So, you know. Well, actually, like the gold plaque is cool because anybody that's listening to I Wish I Knew Natalie Portman, like, you know, for example, like my niece song, like my BM's niece, who I call my niece, she just found out like last year I did that song. She's like, oh my God, I've been listening to that song for like years.
Yeah.
And, you know, I went on my camping trip and I listened to that. I didn't know my uncle made that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's cool. Like, so if
That's
anything,
a
the goal
stunt for a family member, bro.
Right.
Think about
it's,
that.
It's cool. It's cool. It's it's very admirable. And, you know, I guess that's a signifier because like people listening to it, people love it. You know, that's what drives up the sales. And the gold plaque is the recognition of how much people have listened to it over time.
Yeah.
Right? Or not how many people have listened to it, but how many sales it's had from the amount of people listening to it. So, and you know, when I checked the Spotify, it's over like 60 mil.
It's crazy.
Over 40 mil.
Yeah.
People have listened to it. So, yeah, I guess that would be my secondary career. And then the third one would also be Last Hope with Drake, just because it never brought me any monetary success, really.
Yeah.
But the fact that X hopped on it, which is like another one of Drake's rogue gallery enemies. You know what I mean? Like X didn't like Drake at all. He hated on Drake. And I feel like that track was a way to link them together because when X went on to Breakfast Club and talked about how he spoke with Drake and how Drake, you know, I guess sampled him for a record. Yeah, I forget what record. Was it on Views?
It was on the Views album.
On Views.
Yeah,
So he sampled X. And X was just like, yo, why the fuck was I hating on this nigga? Like, he's a fan of me.
Yeah.
Like, and he's just like, well, yo, I did a track on your beat too. Like, you know, like, yo, so, you know, we had that bond. You know what I mean? I was just like, that's crazy. Like,
And
again,
that's your beat.
right? So I'm like the war nigga. Like, I'm the nigga that you could use for war. And I'm the nigga you could use for peace. It's a beautiful thing.
Both sides use your beats.
Right? But like X hopping on that and for me getting a chance to even talk to X for a second.
R.I.P.
was amazing to me. Shout out to Snaz for making that happen.
Okay, salute to
Snaz was the key for that to happen for me meeting Dame Grease and X. And then, you know, Styles P jumping on that, which that one was like fucking Panero, fam. Like, Ghost, the Phantom, nigga. Like, Styles P is, you know, one of my favorite rappers of all time.
That came up from your Bad Boy listening too. Full circle.
Exactly. Money, Power, Respect. One of my favorite albums coming up too. And you know, just it was a very like Rough Riders really love that because then Drag On jumped on it too.
Wow.
Drag On jumped on, but Drag On's track was a letter to DMX, which was crazy. Like, it was just, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get Cassidy on this. Is fucking Eve gonna jump on this too? Like, the Swiss Beats gonna be like Showtime. But yeah, like just having all those Rough Riders niggas that I listen to like jump on the track, and then all of them acknowledge me at some point. Not really Drag On. I never talked to Drag On. Styles P, you know, acknowledged me on the Twitter. He's just like, yo, the beast banging sent me some more shit. I sent him some more shit and never even answered. So that pissed me off. But at the same time, it's just like, yo, the Ghost and X. Those are the two niggas. Like, X was a superstar to me. Bro, like, the epitome of what a rapper could be is X to me. Yeah. And Styles was just, I want to be a Thug days. I'm listening to Ghost. Yeah. You know what I mean? Ghost in the Machine was my fucking mixtape. So, you know, for the track I did with Drake and Cardi, which was already great, like a torch, passing of the torch track, to then also be a track that DMX takes and talks about his fucking demons and shit like that. I was just like, yo, bro, this is too much. My head could explode, fam. And, you know, youngins won't ever really understand the magnitude of that. And, you know, even people that are older than me, like, they'll be like, yo, that's crazy. But like, just being that nigga in that position that created that shit in Jane and Finch, living with my fucking cousin, not knowing where I was gonna fucking go in life, you know what I mean? It's just like, wow, you had X on your beat, and you have the nigga that became the biggest rapper in the world on that beat.
Yeah.
And you have, you know, Big Bro Cardi, who's the biggest rapper from Toronto at the time on your beat. It's just, it was
And
a lot. It was a lot.
Mills too.
How could I forget the former first lady of ATF?
Yeah, this is what I'm here for, fam.
Yes,
you know
thank
you.
Andrina Mill, who till this day, to me, is one of the most brilliant voices from our city. I cry sometimes seeing her, hearing her like sing. Amazing writer, and also like a big sis to me, embraced me. You know, to all have them on one track is just amazing, bro. So fuck, even if it's not a song that's got me royalties, I think it's a song where I go around the world and people have heard that beat before and been like, yo, I did a freestyle on that.
Yeah.
I rapped on that beat. Like, bro, I have a video on that beat. And when you go to Last Hope covers on YouTube, it's just a whole bunch of like different people from around the world that love that beat. Also, I sampled my homegirl El Marie on that. She's like the voice on that from a track we did before. So shout out to her. But yeah, I feel like it's crazy how far that track has gone. That's, you know, another one of those dollar bill situations where it's just like the track has been passed through so many hands, and gone so many places,
and it keeps going, man. It keeps going. And one
thing.
And
what's the name? J.I. the Prince of NY or something like that. That kid from New York. I seen a video of him sampling it. I don't know if that's going anywhere. You know, maybe I would get my lawyers on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see them post the you know, using that track and saying like, yo, Drake was.
You might need to go get a bag for that, my G.
I might have to. I don't know. I don't think it ever dropped. If it dropped, I would have found out. So
yeah.
But either way, like, you know, it's just crazy how far that track is going.
And even like with everything that you've learned and everything that you've gone through in your life, bro. Like you're now a man in your mid-30s, right? What would mid-30s rich kid tell to the 19-year-old rich kid that was about to start this journey?
You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. I know you look like you're not stressing. I know you act like you're not stressing, but you are. But you're gonna be all right. You can't control. You're gonna be me, no matter how. That's how time travel works.
Yeah.
That's what I tell. I'll be like, yo, actually, time travel is, yo, there's this multiverse, my nigga. Like, I'm your variant. Yeah. Nah, but I'd be like, yo, just chill, bro. Just have fun. Continue to have fun. Because to get to me here, you got to have fun.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it. Don't stress the shit. Don't you know, I won't even lie. There's nights where I fucking just went to Lake Ontario, cried, and wondered why am I not where people say I'm supposed to be? I'd be smoking a blunt, crying, bro, like, because thinking like I'm supposed to be somewhere else, but I'm like, nah, bro. Like I finally came to a realization that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
And anywhere I want to go past this, I just got to take it there.
Yeah.
Right. But this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm proud of it. And I'm happy how far I've come and how many people that I've helped influence or help find their way. And, you know, that's the meaning of life, bro. That's the purpose.
That's facts.
That's the purpose.
Nah, King. I think that you should be proud of yourself. You've accomplished a lot in your career. And even if you've ever had thoughts like you just mentioned of not being the places where you think you should have been at one point in time.
But that was only people's perception.
Yeah.
Right? I never knew where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I was lost. I never knew where I was supposed to be.
Yeah, I think you're in the right place, in the right times, and everything that you've done have brought you to where you are today. And it's putting you into a place where you can, the sky's the limit for you, fam. And like, I got to tell you, I'm super proud of you, fam. From the time that I seen you and JUNIA-T jumping around on the stage going crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to see you all around to how you've developed as a grown man. I salute you, fam.
Well, thank you. And man, thank you to you as well, because you embraced me early on in the game. You know what I mean? Like, because like I said before, I'll be hearing your name on Project Bounce, Round Friday, Ricky Dread, yo. You know what I mean? Like, and I would always be hearing about you going up to Project Bounce, dropping new tracks, always hearing about Empire. I remember one of my first shows ever, it was with Empire.
Mm-hmm.
It was at the Big Bop.
Yep.
And I think even our crews even almost got into it. Because of that, you know, I was with Poison.
Yeah.
And he what do you label us? Mississauga murderers? Yo, what the fuck? I wasn't hurting a fly. I was fighting though. Nigga, I'm always down to scrap. I was always frontline shit. But yeah, like I remember my first show was with Empire and shit like that. And
you were the
crown. And I pull up with Poison, the Christy Pitts and shit. Like, I think one time you guys had an interview. I popped up on you guys, and you're just like, yo, I want to get you on the Get It album and shit like that. And
we did.
You know what I mean? And we did.
Yeah.
Brought me to the video shoot. You know, telly with the strippers and shit like that. So I'm a young nigga with around some strippers. I'm just like, yo,
run up in the spot.
Run up in the spot, right? That's the first time meeting Adam Bomb and everybody. Actually, no, I probably met Adam Bomb the first time when I linked up with you guys in Poison. But you know what I mean? Like you always embraced me, and you know, salute to you for that. Thank you for that. I appreciate you, and you know that's why it's likewise. No matter where we go in our journeys, I always support you. Even when I see some of these youngins that don't really understand your relevance in the game and the parts you played. And even when I see you sometimes do dumb shit, I'll acknowledge it to you. I'm just like, nigga, why you want to be a meme? Like, but I understand it. It's you've always been the guy to transform yourself. You never let. I think we think the same in that kind of way. We know how to transform ourselves into different situations and adapt.
Yeah,
and take advantage. And take control of those situations. We're controllers. You don't want to be necessarily controlled.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, I respect you for that.
No, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, King. Yo, let the people know where to find you. Like, besides your social medias, like anywhere where you want people to be able to connect with you and different things that you want them to connect with.
Yeah, I don't really want niggas to connect. Just go to social media. Don't be coming out of my workplace being like, yo, Rich, nah, fuck you, nigga. Like, just connect through social media. Let me vet you out first.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you really want to find me, y'all can look up Remix Project and find me over there. I work over there. I am the program coordinator, so I deal with the day-to-day in terms of like, you know, helping these youths make music. I pick who's in the program. You know, I help run the events for the program. We just did a song camp the other day, a 5-day song camp at Kilometer Music. Shout out Kilometer. Shout out David Click Cox.
Oh, not to interrupt you, and salute to Click. I did an interview with City Fidelia over at Kilometer, so that place is so fire, bro.
So many studios in there.
Oh man,
dope producers in there too that are signed to them. But yeah, we did our song camp over there, and shout out City too. City is another one that I respect in the game. But yeah, you know, that's where you can find me, a Remix Project. That's where I'd be working at. And social media, Rich Kid Beats, obviously, you'll probably have that like somewhere on there. Right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just be around the city. You'll probably see me at some of these local shows, showing love. Oh, I think there's a show at Least Palace. Wow. As I mentioned, Black Box. I'm getting a message from Ian from Black Box. That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy. But yeah, there's a show tonight that I got rapper Thelonious on. It's this artist named Token that's doing his cross Canada, cross America tour. And a friend of mine hit me up. He was like, yo, what rappers are dope in the city do you think could fit on this bill? And I was like, yo, this guy Thelonious is dope. I showed him Thelonious. He went crazy for him. Thelonious is dope. He's one of those rappers where I feel like, you know, he kind of reminds me of Claremont II when he came on the scene. Like has a clear vision of the kind of rap he does, and the videos match it, the aesthetic matches it, and his producer Cabby, who's a remix kid, put me onto him and really like made me support the movement. And you know, I did it willingly because I was like, yo, the shit you guys make is dope.
Yeah.
So like I was like, okay, yeah, Thelonious got to be on the show. So now I think he's performing tonight. Actually, I might even go to Lee's Palace to come check it out. But like, yeah, remix, man. That's where my world is at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But you could catch me at the city, like in the city, like, you know, just supporting other artists. You know, being there, side stage, front of the stage, in the crowd, drinking a gin and tonic. Just, you know, supporting the scene, because I feel like that's what I always did to ingratiate myself in the Toronto community. And now that, you know, I guess I'm a pillar in it, I got to continue to do that to like to really show that, one, us OGs, it's crazy to say I'm an OG now, but us OGs still have love for the youngins coming up, and we really support their art. You know, I think that's important because you know, I think there was a divide between young G's and OGs at a certain point where it's like, oh yeah, the OGs are stuck in their ways and they're gatekeeping. But it's like we're all in the same kind of boat, especially in Canada. The OG rappers can't gatekeep shit. They're still trying to go for the shit that young G's are going for.
Still trying to get the bag, bro.
Still trying to get the bag. So you know, we're better unified than separated. Yeah. It's not apartheid. You know what I mean?
No, that's jewelry right there, King.
Right.
Nah, man, I really feel that we got a thorough conversation in here. You know what I'm saying? We got the full history of Rich Kid. Yeah. In my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I don't know any other networks that have this full, the beginning to end, or beginning to where you are now, right? Of Rich Kid, as well as like the things that you got going on now outside of music. And I really appreciate this.
Yeah, man. Thank
you. I want to give a quick salute to my sponsors once again, Astro Pink. If you know, you know. Hit them up on their website, myastropink.com, or on their Instagram, astro_pink. I think we should, I'm going to take us out with a track that we spoke about a few times in this conversation. The Last Hope.
Ooh. An oldie but a goodie.
An oldie but goodie.
And I feel like, man, if they put that on streaming services, that shit would have got a gold plaque too, you know.
For sure.
I have no idea why it's not on streaming services.
Yeah.
Listen,
man.
But hey.
We're coming for that bag, yo.
Let's get it.
We love hip hop.